Alright guys, so I want to talk about this video that has been floating around the internet that is extremely scary. And it's a continuation of how the medical community has essentially abandoned real science and biology in favor of woke gender ideology. Okay, it has become a religion, right? That is what it is at this point. It is a religion. I literally did a video the other day about medical students reciting a woke Hippocratic oath to fight white supremacy and to also basically praise indigenous forms of healing in medicine, right? So they are basically denouncing Western medicine in favor of indigenous medicine. Again, this has become a religion. And today I want to talk about a video from 2019 that's floating around that involves a Stanford Children's Hospital doctor by the name of Miss Tandy A, whom suggests some pretty wild things about children in regards to transgender surgeries. Without further ado, I just want to get and play that clip for you guys. Take a look.
As transgender people are more openly being able to seek therapy, the demand for transgender surgery has increased by 5-fold over the past 5 years. And one may think that the preservation of surgery is a valid one, but in reality is not very relevant or valid. 18 is the age in which minors are protected from making permanent decisions about their reproductive health, because the thought is then at 18 they can decide what they would like to do. However, if as soon as pubertal blockers were added and then estrogen was added to her therapy, Avery's testes never developed. In fact, she does not make any sperm. And her reproductive capability to be a biological parent has been eliminated. Her testes are non-functional. And in medicine, don't we often recommend the removal of non-functional organs, like an appendix? So therefore, does it make sense for Avery to wait until she's 18? Or should older adolescents be allowed to have surgery before the age of 18? 18 is also the age of consent. Doctors usually allow those who are 18 to make decisions about their procedures and consent so that you can weigh the risks and benefits. Well then, the transgender patient may be one of the most well-informed patients. Who else has had years of psychological evaluation, months of medical therapy, and has thought of this one procedure for so long? So rather than to use strict age limits for eligibility, why not use the number of years in which one has lived in their affirmed gender? And insurances and laws should consider older adolescents in getting gender affirmation surgery. Now, these surgeries are not simple surgeries. These are
Yeah, so what you have there, guys, is a medical doctor flat out advocating, making an argument for why children should be able to consent to having their genitalia cut off before the age of 18. Again, absolutely insane stuff. First and foremost, I do want to address something that she said at the beginning, which is that the demand for these surgeries has went up 5-fold in 5 years. Doesn't that tell you that there's a problem, right? Especially if this is happening to children, okay, in which there has been an exponential increase in kids that are identifying as trans, right? That would tell you that this is not natural, that this is not something that these people probably actually really want as much as it's something that they feel like is something they should do. It's the trendy thing to do, right? No. Doesn't matter according to this doctor. Nothing strange about that. We got money to make, right? So we gonna operate. And instead of making a child wait till they're 18, the argument that this woke doctor makes is that, well, if we give them puberty blockers and hormones, in her example, you take a boy, right, a biological boy, okay, and you stop the development of her testes, right? According to this doctor, you see what she said there, her testes. If you stop the development of it with estrogen and puberty blockers, then it means that the organ is non-functioning, right? And because the organ is non-functioning, as medical doctors, we often remove non-functioning organs, right? And so she's using this logic to justify operating on minors. However, what she seems to be forgetting or not mentioning is that the only reason that her testes are not working is because you made them not work, right? You injected artificial hormones and puberty blockers into this person to make their bodily organ not function. It's not because it's not functioning naturally. It's not a natural thing. It is artificial. It was man-made. So again, how does that make sense? Do you really think that kids can even grasp the idea that their sexual organs won't function? That they won't be able to have children? That they won't be able to achieve orgasm? Do you think they can actually grasp and understand that conversation? I don't. And apparently behind closed doors, a lot of these woke transgender doctors, they don't believe kids can grasp it either. Evidenced by this video that I showed you guys yesterday, I'll show it again, in which there was a doctor, a transgender doctor, who just flat out came out and said, yeah, kids don't really understand these conversations, but we're going to operate on them anyways. Take a look.
Some of the Dutch researchers gave some data about young adults who had transitioned and reproductive regret. And it's there. And I don't think any of that surprises us. I talk about it, but most of the kids are nowhere in any kind of a brain space to really, really, really talk about it in a serious way. That's always bothered me, but we still want the kids to be happier in the moment, right? It's always a good theory that you talk about fertility preservation with a 14-year-old, but I know I'm talking to a blank wall. And the same would happen for a cisgender kid, right? They'd be like, ew, kids, babies, gross. Or the usual stock answer is, I'm going to adopt. I'm just going to adopt. And then you ask them, well, what does that involve? Like, how much does it cost? Oh, I thought you just went to the orphanage and they gave you a baby. No, it's not quite like that. I think now that I follow a lot of kids into their mid-20s, I'm always like, oh, the dog isn't doing it for you, right? Yeah, they're like, no, I just found this, wonderful partner and now we're kids and da-da-da. So I think, it doesn't surprise me, but I don't know still what to do for the 14-year-olds. The parents have it on their minds, but the 14-year-olds, it's like talking with diabetic complications with a 14-year-old. They don't care. They're not going to die. They're going to live forever, right? So I think when we're doing informed consent, I know that that's still a big lacuna of that we do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Okay, we just made, probably $100,000, $200,000 lifetime value off of this transgender child, right? This very confused child who doesn't know what they're actually doing. But again, just do it because we want them to be happy in the moment, right? Just do it. Their testicles aren't functioning anyways because we injected all these hormones into them. Which, by the way, again, we're talking about drugs that stop the development of sexual organs. Okay, so again, you have doctors not only advocating for chemical castration, but then they use chemical castration as an excuse to move on to physical castration. Again, absolutely disgusting stuff. And this is exactly why these medical professionals are losing credibility, right? They're going down the same path that the journalists went down, in which now you have the journalists complaining about, boo-hoo, why don't people like us? Why don't people trust journalists anymore? Well, it's because you guys, journalists, at least a lot of mainstream journalists, are simply just Democrat Party propaganda artists, right? Which is why they've lost credibility, right? That's why you've lost credibility. Same thing is happening with these doctors. They're not practicing medicine anymore. They're practicing their woke religion. That's what they're practicing. And they're doing it in the name of woke capitalism. They're doing it for money. They know it's not morally correct. They know that these kids have no ability to comprehend the consequences, especially the long-term consequences of these surgeries and these treatments. These kids have no clue that they will never be able to have an orgasm. They will never have a normal sex life. They will never be able to have kids, right? They will always have to continue to take these drugs for the rest of their lives. They will continue to have to get surgeries, okay, very painful surgeries. They will continue to have to do it. This is a lifelong endeavor. These kids do not understand that stuff at the age of 12, 14. I mean, I would say even 16, right? And a lot of them don't even understand it at 18. They don't understand it. They don't get it, right? But yeah, let's push it on them anyways. We don't care. We don't care. We got to make some money, right? That's exactly what's going on here. And these doctors should be sued. They should be sued. They should be allowed to be sued every time a person, a minor, is pushed into taking these drugs or getting these surgeries, and they end up regretting it when they become adults. They should be allowed to sue everybody, including the parents, the psychiatrists, the therapists, the doctors. Everybody that was involved in that transition should be sued. Okay? So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.